All right. Eventually, Mayorkas' impeachment will be in the hands of the Senate, but the path forward, it is still unclear.
Well, Chuck Schumer and his ilk will try to table or dismiss the impeachment. Here with reaction, Senate Homeland Security Committee member, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, terrific to see you. How does this play out? I mean, the reporting is that this is definitely the Senate Democrats, this is definitely the direction that they're going to go. And so far, the only I'm voting with the Democrats Republican is, shocker, Mitt Romney. So will the Democrats have the votes to stop the righteous impeachment trial of Alejandro Mayorkas?
Well, Majority Leader Schumer has been quite brazen in his pronouncements that he's just going to vote to table this impeachment, not conduct a trial, not do our Senate's constitutional duty to take this impeachment seriously. We were very grateful that Speaker Johnson decided not to deliver those articles of impeachment, because had he done that tonight, Chuck Schumer would have scheduled taking this thing up 1 o'clock on Thursday, when pretty much senators are smelling the jet fuels and they're trying to get out of the city. So delay that till next week. We're obviously making the point that we have a constitutional duty to conduct a trial. Even if it's not on the floor of the Senate, you can conduct a special committee to do so. But we need to hear the evidence. But that's exactly what they don't want to take place. They don't want the American public to understand what a catastrophe not only President Biden, not only Secretary Mayorkas' open border policy is, but the fact of the matter is Democrats in Congress want an open border. They caused this problem. They voted against completing the fence. So they don't want this exposed. I'm sure they're shocked that the mainstream media is actually having to start reporting on the catastrophe at the open border, mainly because Mayor Adams and Mayor Johnson in New York and Chicago determined that their sanctuary cities can't handle the amount of migrants they're obtaining, even though it's a fraction of the more than 6-7 million that have entered this country. So again, it's an issue they just want to go away. As Senator Kennedy said, they just want to sweep it under the rug. Republicans are trying to make sure that the American people know exactly what a catastrophe this open border policy has been.
So, Senator, I want to get your take on this, because we're just halfway through the fiscal year and the U.S. budget deficit. It's already topped $1 trillion thanks to rising interest rates on the national debt. And yet, our government, they just continue to spend even more. You and I came in 2010 together, and the debt and the deficit was a big deal. We talked about it a lot, and it seems like now we're at almost $35 trillion, and no one seems to care about it as we careen towards the cliff.
No, Sean, we came in, it was $14 trillion in debt. Now we're at $35 trillion in debt. It's not our fault. It's, by and large, the uniparty here in Washington, D.C. I've heard it said, show me one member of Congress who ever lost re-election because they spent too much money. In the end, the public is going to have to demand fiscal accountability. But instead, what we're getting out of this administration is they're buying votes by forgiving student loans with money that we don't have, further plundering our children's future. And the young people don't realize the reason you cannot buy a home is because this massive deficit spending, driving up the cost of homes, sparking 40-year high inflations, driving up mortgage payments. They're not making the connection, the pain, the fact that a dollar they held at the start of the Biden administration is only worth 84 cents. That's why you can't afford groceries, but that's because of massive deficit spending. And the news media, just like they won't point out the catastrophe that is the open border, they're not connecting the dots between the massive deficit spending and all the pain Americans are feeling because of inflation.
Oh, Senator, I'll connect it. We got inflation numbers today, again, running hotter than expected for the third month in a row. Inflation, both the top line and core, when you take out food and energy, as if we don't have to drive and eat, also running hotter than expected. So what's happening? Longer-term interest rates spiked today, above 4.5% for the first time in 5 months. What does that do? We got in those CBO numbers about the deficit for the first 6 months of the fiscal year, that the interest that we're paying, the net interest on the federal debt held by the public, is $440 billion, now more than what we spent on defense over that period. So the interest on the debt is going up. It will mean tax increases on people who cannot afford it. And it means that there's a thief named Joe Biden through his inflation who is stealing money from every working person, who, particularly those people who didn't go to college and don't have student debt, which is 90% of the American people. And he's taking money, handing it $430 billion to people with college degrees and debt, and then handing the bill to the people who can't afford it. It's upside down and backwards and wrong.
Joe Biden, Democrats say they're only going to increase taxes on the wealthy, right? Make people pay their fair share. What they don't say is that inflation is a tax on everybody, and it particularly hurts people at the lower end of the income spectrum, the very same people the Democrats purport to represent. And there's no end in sight. You know, Joe Biden just put forward his budget. Over $16 trillion in added debt is what he's projecting over the next 10 years. There's not one deficit he's projecting under $1.5 trillion. They're not even making an attempt to project lower deficits. They're just going ahead and spending money like there's no tomorrow.
And the pain is going to be grave when this comes home to roost. Senator Ron Johnson from the greatest state in the country, Wisconsin, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.